Yo, what's going on? Good morning. You are listening to the Execute Regardless podcast. My name is Callum Roach, and this is the part of fucking Spotify, Apple, YouTube, where you learn how to stack the odds in your favor. In real time, no hypothetical bullshit, no tactics. I'm talking fucking real strategies that fucking work, that are tried and tested after me spending 6 to 7 years being being very successful at losing. Because my theory is, if you know how not to lose, winning is basically automatic. You win by default. Sorry, there was a fucking water bottle creaking in the back. But my theory is, if you know how not to lose, winning is near fucking automatic. It is automatic, right? So I'm not here to tell you how fucking great I am. I'm here to tell you what didn't fucking work and what did work, right? Straight to the fucking point. Hope that makes sense. So if you're listening in for the first time, that's a little crash course on what this podcast is about. The reason why it's called Execute Regardless is because the only difference between winning and losing is the only difference between that fucking water bottle. Oh my God. I poured this coffee and I always use filtered water, but Jesus Christ. Anyways, back to the point. The reason why this podcast is called the Execute Regardless podcast is because the only difference between winning and losing, the only difference between you getting what you want and not getting it is your ability to execute regardless. And anyone who tells you otherwise is fucking deluded. Okay? Deluded. They're not with it. Right? It's on you. You are the variable. Nobody else. Perfect is never coming. Nobody's coming to save you. Rip the band-aid off now, because that's just the fucking truth, right? You can do what I did. You can sit around for years, wait on all the success just to fall onto your lap, right? You can depend on others to lead you down the fucking wrong path, like I did. You can give them fucking thousands, right? The best thing you can do is learn how to stack the odds yourself, and that's what this is about. Massive shout out to number one, all you guys who wished me happy birthday the other day. I appreciate that. Shout out to Christina, one of our listeners. Christina, I just want to give a massive shout out to you. Number one, I appreciate you. Christina, she sketched, I'm pretty sure it was pencil, she sketched a portrait of me and wrote me a happy birthday. So Christina, a massive thank you for that. I know how much time would have went into that. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you a lot. It's very, very kind of you. So I have my coffee. I hope you guys, obviously if you're listening in you're coming back for a second time, we have coffee on this podcast. And today's topic is going to be about why you can't play fucking small. Why going for the low-hanging fruit is idiotic. Why playing small is idiotic. Because it is. Right? That's what we're going to talk about. So grab the coffee and let's get into it. I appreciate you being here. By the way, I don't know if I introduced myself. My name is Callum Roach. If you don't know much about me, I'd recommend going back, listening to episode 1, or you can Google me real quick or something, But yeah, let's get into it. I got double espresso, no lattes. Okay. Amazing. That's a good latte. So, first of all, happy Saturday. I appreciate you being here. Now, we've been told for years, the old saying, go for the low-hanging fruit, it's the easiest. First of all, I want to question that. Why the fuck should we settle for the low-hanging fruit? That's the first question. Why in the world should we go for the fucking scraps that everyone else is going for? First of all, do you not think you're worth more than that? Do you not think you're worth more than the scraps that life has to offer? I think you are. I know I am. That's the first thing. We need to question, why did we just accept the premise to go for the low-hanging fruit? What I say to that is, fuck the low-hanging fruit. Fuck the low-hanging fruit. I want the high-hanging fruit. I want the fucking juicy pineapple at the top. I don't want the fucking moldy, stepped on, fucking filthy berries that so many other people have just like mauled. Fuck that shit. I want the juicy, high-hanging melon, pineapple, whatever the fuck's at the top of that tree. That's where I'm going. I'm going for the sweet stuff, right? I'm going for the sweet stuff, and you should too. And there's a moral obligation. There's actually an onus on you to go big, right? And there's a reason why I said playing small is idiotic, and that's for two reasons. Number one is because I don't think people realize, and I want to drill this point home, I don't think people realize that when your time is up here, you're not coming back. I want you to swallow that. I want you to realize there is going to come a time when you're on your fucking deathbed, you're lying there, your kids are all around you, hopefully peacefully, after living a strong, smart, very healthy life. You're going to be sitting there, you're going to be having your last words with them. And I want you to internalize this now and ask yourself, do you want those final words, that final conversation, to be flashbacks to your life and telling them about what could have been? You know what, son? You know what, love? I could have had all this. You could have had this amazing life. But you know what? I played small. I listened to what they told me to do. They told me to go for the high-hanging fruit. And you know what? My advice to you is to go big. To go for the high-hanging fruit. Not to settle. Not to settle for average. You were born to be elite. You need to go big. Do you seriously want to be having that conversation with your kids? Wondering what could have been, telling them what could have been, telling them what not to do, the mistakes you made in your life? No, fuck that. Because time is moving forward. It's not moving backward. I don't know what age you are. I turned 27 last week, or during the week, right? I'm not getting younger. The clock is on. I have a list of shit to do. I need to get it done because I know that moment will happen, right? And you know what the interesting thing is? When you get there, when you get to that point, you won't be able to go back and you will have to die with that regret. So that's the first reason why you should go for the high-hanging fruit. That's the first reason why you should not settle, is because, see those things you're worrying about that people say, one sec, sorry, I'm just having my coffee. You see those things that people say to you, be realistic, oh, come on, just be happy with what you have. You ever hear all this bullshit? You ever hear people say this? I don't know what they say to you, but be realistic, just get a normal job, you can't have your fucking cake and eat it too. Be happy with what you have, this is good enough. Bro, that's fucking good enough for you. That's not good enough for me. And it's not good enough for you either. So that's the first thing, right? Don't listen to the bullshit. Don't let people project shit on you, right? Because they're not willing to do it. They settled. Don't take advice from a fucking loser. Because let me tell you something. Only losers go for the low-hanging fruit. Only losers go for the low-hanging fruit. Winners go for the high-hanging fruit. And I'll tell you why. Not only for the first reason that I just mentioned, but winners go for the high-hanging fruit because it's easy. It's actually fucking easy. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. I want to show you how to make it easy. I'm going to prove that to you. Getting what you want, playing big, is actually easier than you think. We've been led to believe that it's hard as fuck. In fact, it's not. They told me it was hard. They told me it was complicated. They told me it was complex. And I ended up spending €80,000 over the course of 6 to 7 years to realize that I was actually smarter than most of the people who were getting me to do the wrong stuff. Okay? And I'm going to talk to you about some of the strategies that I use to take big, complex problems, to take big goals and dumb them down to the point where if I couldn't pull it off, then you're an idiot. I'm going to show you how to idiot-proof whatever it is you're trying to do, okay? Whether that be a financial goal, whether that be a career goal, whether that be even a family goal. If you want to bring your fucking family on a 2-week holiday to the Caribbean, right? And if that's a big goal for you, I'm going to show you how to dumb that down to fucking nothing, to the point where you'll be like, you know what, that's easy as fuck. How does that sound? I think that sounds good. All right. So let's get into it. So one of the ways you're going to do this, if you have a pen, if you have a piece of paper, or just take a fucking mental note, right? One of the ways that you are going to make things seem super easy, one of the ways that you're going to make the hardest things, the big things in life that seem so far away, the number one way you're going to make that seem achievable is by using something called the comparative bias. I use the comparative bias to make hard things look relatively simple. And first of all, let me explain to you what the comparative bias is. Not the clinical or, technical definition, my fucking definition. Here's what the comparative bias is to me. Whenever I feel like I can't do something, what I do is I essentially contrast it against something that is quite significant compared to what I'm trying to do. So for example, let's make up an example here. Let's say let's pick something a little bit outrageous. Let's say I want to make 10 million a month. There's an outrageous goal. Let's say I want to make 10 million a month. Now, outrageous to most people. Actually not that outrageous to me, right? Not because I'm making 10 million a month. I'm not even making 1 million a month. Yet, keyword. But anyways, it's actually relatively simple. Now, how we make it relatively simple is by doing this. We use the comparative or the contrast bias, where we take that goal and we compare it to something that's pretty fucking outrageous. So the way I see it then is, I'm like, okay, I want to make 10 million a month. To most people, that seems hard. Well, let's compare it to something. If they could put a man on the moon, if the human race could get to the moon in the 1960s with the technology that they had, they could send 3 men up in a fucking rickety rocket ship and send them to the moon and they could come back. You're telling me that you can't make 10 million a month? You can't make... did I say 10 million a month or 10 million a year? Okay, whatever. You can't make 10 million. That's the figure. Of course you can. If they can fucking send a man to the moon and come back, you can do whatever it is that you think you can't right now, right? So if that's a financial goal, if you're trying to make 6 figures a year, think about this, right? If you're trying to make 6 figures a year, 100 grand or more per year, and you think that that's not possible, Elon Musk just landed a fucking spaceship, right? A space rocket, took off and landed the fucking thing on 2 chopsticks. He landed a fucking spaceship on 2 chopsticks, and you're telling me that you don't know how to make 6 figures a year, that you're worried that you can't do it. Right? That is the power of the contrast bias, of the comparative bias. Right? We could take another example. Let's say that you have a dream of wanting to travel the world for 3 months with your family. Right? Might cost, I don't know, let's say 15 grand. Right? And that seems a little bit far-fetched right now. Let's compare it to something major. Let's compare it to Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a guy who wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. And in the book, Man's Search for Meaning, it talks about his time in Auschwitz, okay? And the horrors he's seen and what got him through it. Now, if Viktor Frankl could survive the most horrific, most horrendous environment and conditions on the planet, right? Torturous conditions. Go on to not only make it out, but to build a successful career off the back of it. If Viktor Frankl could survive fucking Auschwitz, you're telling me that you can't find a way to earn enough money to bring your family on a holiday for 3 months and make 15 grand. Think about that. Of course you fucking can. Of course you can. You need to compare it with something way bigger to belittle what you're doing, right? So that's just financial, by the way. This isn't a fucking finance podcast. But even let's take one for example. Let's say you're trying to break sub 20 minute 5k run, a sub 20 minute 5k run, right? Let's compare this to something. If Eliud Kipchoge can run a marathon in 1 hour and 59 seconds, if Eliud Kipchoge can run a sub 2 hour marathon, which is like 2 minutes and 50 something seconds a kilometer for 42 consecutive kilometers. Think about this. If he can run at 2 minutes a kilometer, 2 minutes and 52 seconds a kilometer for 42 consecutive kilometers, you're telling me that you can't run 5 kilometers for 3 minutes and 59 seconds a kilometer, right? It's going to take you less than fucking 20 minutes. It's going to take you 19 minutes and whatever amount of seconds. You're telling me you can't do that? Of course you fucking can. He's running at 252 per kilometer for 42. You can run at 359 for 5. Right? This is what you got to do to dumb down your goals. Right? In any area. If you look at anyone who's went from, let's take the incoming CEO of Nike. Let's take the incoming CEO of Nike. I would recommend going onto his LinkedIn profile. Really interesting. He's been in the company for like 30 years. Now, I think he went in literally as like a sales rep in a store, and now he is the CEO. Okay, now if you look at where this guy came from and then where he's gone to, okay, so he started as a sales rep, stayed in the company for 30 years, you'll see the progression, and now he's the fucking CEO of Nike. And you're telling me what you're working on right now, you can't do it? Right? There's people who, number one, start from worse conditions than you, that's the first thing, and go way beyond where you are. Okay? You just need to change your perspective. You need to use the contrast bias to make the hard things look easy, because they are. Right? And it's all relative to who you're around, which is the next point that I want to go on to. I wrote down on my iPad, surrounded by mediocre. And this is very important, right? This is really important. The reason why this shit seems so hard, the reason why you feel you have to settle for the low-hanging fruit, is because that is what you're surrounded by and what rubs off on you, what you're influenced by. So if you're surrounded by people who are mediocre, if you're surrounded by people who aren't doing big things in life, who aren't as aggressive as you, number one, not only will their goals and their ambition rub off on you, but number two, they're actually going to try pull you down. They're going to fucking try detract away from your goals. They're going to try pull you back, because I'll tell you why. By you not succeeding, it makes them feel better, because essentially they're subconsciously contrasting themselves against you. And the further you go, I noticed this in my own life, the further you go, right, the worse you're going to make people feel. And it's really fucked up, actually, because I found it hard to comprehend this. I found it hard to comprehend that the better I do, that people weren't going to be happy for me, because essentially they would take it in a way where I'm insulting them and they're doing worse, when really I would be happy for them if I saw them doing amazing. In fact, anytime I see someone do something great, like Musk, like all these guys, like these big guys, even people around me, I take inspiration. I'm the first person to run over and say, holy fuck, man, that's insane. That's, obviously takes a shit ton of hard work. Can you tell me how you done it? Right? I'm the first one not only to fucking give you the pat on the back, I want to know how you did it because I want to be like you, right? And it's like people, I think it's got to do with ego. People have such big egos that they can't put it aside and actually show appreciation for hard work, and actually say fair play. Okay, so it's very important that it's very important that you surround yourself with people who, number one, are going big, so then you feel small. We say inside of Winners Insider, going to zero. Okay, anytime that you win, anytime you do something big, you need to go back to zero. And the reason why you need to go back to zero is because there's always more, right? There's always someone who's better. There's always someone who's done more. And that's how we get the most out of ourselves. But if you're fucking sitting around and you're the best, or you're the smartest person in the room, right? That's the worst thing you could do. That means you're capped. It means you're getting complacent. It means you're not hungry. It means you're not growing. In fact, it means you're dying. Okay? So, if you're the best, if you're the most successful out of all your friends, you need to get some new fucking friends. Right? Now, I want to talk about idiot proof in your plan. What time are we at? Okay. Got a couple of minutes. I want to talk about idiot proof in your plan. And there's a way to do this. There is a way to make sure your plan is that fucking simple that if you don't pull it off, then essentially you're an idiot. I know that sounds really bad, but it is what it is. Okay. So the first thing you got to do to idiot proof your plan is to get very fucking clear on what it is you want. Get very fucking clear on point B and the vision. So to idiot proof your plan, you need to know what it is you want. Now, don't be shy with this. Be aggressive. Write down the high-hanging fruit. Because you're not coming back. You're going to die eventually. Right? So you might as well go big. It takes 12 hours to build a shop on the corner and sell newspapers all day. And it takes 12 hours a day to build a company. Right? So might as well build a company and get paid. Get an ROI for your time here on Earth. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing is, you got to apply the domino strategy. You got to break it down, reverse engineer it, and say, what is the one big domino that I must knock? What is the one big domino that I must knock? That if I knock this over, the rest will take care of itself. All right. So let's say, for example, you want to run 200 miles. Seems pretty outrageous, right? Running 200 miles is it's a fucking relatively big goal. Now, at first, you might be like, fuck, I could never run 200 miles. But what if we broke it down? What if we say, okay, could I run 50 miles? And let's say you even say, no, you know what? I couldn't run 50 miles. Hold on. Could I run 5 miles? Okay, yeah, I could run 5 miles. Could I run 5 miles, walk, take a small break, and go again and run another 5? Yeah, I could do that. Okay. Could I run another 5 miles and take another break? And before you know it, you build up a plan to the point where you're like, fuck, I've taken such a big goal here and broken it down into small pieces. And what I want to say to you here is, you need to do the same with your plan. You need to break down your plan to the point, now this is key, you need to break down your plan to the point where you easily head nod and say, fuck yeah, I could do that, that's easy. Like, you need to get it to that point. You need to get it to that point. So you ask yourself, what's the first domino that I need to knock that will lead me to the next? Now, I want to give you an interesting thing to supercharge what we're doing here. What you need to do then is you need to tie a desirable result to the next domino. You need to tie a desirable outcome to the next domino. And what I mean by this is, so it's like, okay, if I knock this one domino, then that automatically will lead me to the next thing that I want as a byproduct. So what you need to ask yourself is, what is the one big domino that I must knock, that if I knock it down, it will lead me to the next thing that I want, rather than doing loads of little random tasks, wasting my time, being busy, going through the motions but going nowhere. Fuck that. Say, what is the one big domino that if I knock this down with a fucking sledgehammer, it will lead me to the next thing that I want? And I'm not talking about some superficial goal. I'm talking about the shit that you really want. You got to tie each domino in order. And I'm telling you, if you do this exercise, there's only about 5 to 6 dominoes that you have to knock, right? In my life, there's 5 dominoes. I think it's 5 to 6 dominoes that I have to knock to make sure that when I get to the end of my life, I never have to wonder what could have been. It's only like 5 dominoes. And you know what the interesting thing is? I was saying this to some clients yesterday. The hardest domino to knock is the first one. The hardest domino to knock is the first one. You knock the first one over, the rest is fucking easy. Okay? The rest is easy. The hardest domino to knock is the first one. Tie that domino to the next desirable on your never wonder list. And if you don't know what a never wonder list is, I would recommend going back. I think it was the episode before this or the one before that. And essentially what we're doing here is we're gamifying life. Think of life like a game. All we're trying to do is get to point B, right? Your body is a vehicle. I'm going into another topic here. Basically, your body is a vehicle to get you to point B, and that's why you got to put yourself in a position to win. You got to look after yourself. You got to have the mental and physical power. I'd actually recommend going and listen to that episode. I think it's in the first 3 or 4 episodes. But essentially, back to the point, gamify what we're doing, right? We don't have time now. Go back and listen to that. But back to the domino concept. You need to gamify this shit. And you need to make it, number one, you need to make it fun. You need to make it exciting, which is going for the high-hanging fruit. And you need to make sure that each of your actions are each of your actions work in your favor and act as byproducts for the next thing. Does that make sense? And eventually what happens is you get to the point where you have a plan and you've only got about 5 to 6 dominoes. And all you have to do is knock the first one to start the chain reaction, to start the knock-on effect. Now, if I was to ask you the question after you do this exercise, I want you to do it. I want you to say, okay, if I do this one thing, this will enable me to then get thing 2 and 3, desirable 2 and 3, okay? And by getting desirable 2 and 3, that will then knock the third domino to get me desirable 4 and 5. And then by the time I get desirable 4 and 5, that will then get me desirable number 6. So you don't actually set out to go for desirable number 6. You set out to knock domino number 1. And you have to fucking break domino number 1 down to the point where it's like you have an easy head nod and you say, fuck yeah, I could easily do that. I could easily do that. Does that make sense? And that's how you idiot-proof your plan. That's how you idiot-proof your plan. So listen, we've been going at this for a while. I just want to say I appreciate the fuck out of you. Do not go for the low-hanging fruit. Do not go where everybody's going. Winners go for the high-hanging fruit. And I know if you're listening to this, you were meant for more. You were born to be elite. And if there's anyone who fucking believes in you, it's me. Right? Don't let your friends, don't let people around you tell you to be grateful, just settle for enough. Fuck that shit. You were meant for more and you know it. You know it. Right? So do not settle. Do not settle. Don't listen to those people who say be realistic. Be grateful for what you have. Fuck that shit. You were meant for more. Right? And I appreciate the fuck out of you. So listen, happy Saturday. Winners win because they execute regardless. And if anyone believes in you, it's me. Till next time, that's that.